Hello and welcome to another episode of Acceptable Madness. My name is Scott McKinney, and today I'm going to talk about taking it easy. Now, I'm fully aware that I have another episode called Relaxing, and I am also 100% sure that in the future I will have another one that is similar in title to this one and the first one, but I think that I don't necessarily think that rehashing the same point is entirely negative, because I really think that can emphasize how important I think that it is. As per usual, I want to start this by saying that I'm not a doctor or trained professional. This is just some guy talking out of his ass, and hopefully it can help you. So, the reason that I wanted to talk about taking it easy is because I personally have been struggling with taking it easy right now. So, and that sounds so counterintuitive, but as most things that I say are, but I feel like you understand that at this point, where a lot of the things that may go through your head or someone else's head may not always come from the most typical of places. But the reason that taking it easy to me is so confusing, I guess, is because, so I like to do a lot of stuff. I talk about all that stuff on here, but sometimes I just have zero motivation and zero desire to do any of it. When it comes to my videos, I don't have an easy time coming up with ideas, and even though I usually have like an infinite number of ideas at any given moment. For writing, I have a hard time focusing and putting my head into the thoughts of the characters that I'm trying to create, and so I have a hard time developing a story that has any sort of meaningful or even entertainment type basis. And even in terms of the podcast, I can get very reserved, and I will back off, and I won't pursue guests, and I won't kind of do my due diligence for what I have to do to keep up with it. And all of these things, they really start to wear on me, and the loss of motivation, it happens. I basically think of it as like depressive fits, which is another episode that I've done, but about once a month, I just have, and it could happen more frequently, it could happen less frequently, but about once a month, I have these periods where it just, the world feels so dull and unwelcoming and unfun, and sometimes it even feels downright miserable. And right now I'm in the middle of that depressive fit. And for me, whenever I'm not doing something, I'm a self-proclaimed workaholic because I like to keep myself busy to prevent myself from really falling into this habit of laziness or getting stuck in my own thoughts without something to kind of distract myself from them. So I have this tendency to just dive into way more projects than I can feasibly do. And I love that about myself, and I like doing all those projects. But whenever I have one of these fits and I just feel more depressed, and it's like this monumental challenge to do anything besides the bare minimum, I always, my thoughts usually regress to this self-hatred, self-loathing, this just hatred for not only myself, but the world, the people around me, and basically anything else that I can point blame to. I just get frustrated and angry, and it's hard for me to deal with. So the reason that I decided that taking it easy was worth talking about again was because I've tried so many different things. I've tried forcing myself, whenever I'm feeling this way, to work on a project that I've been thinking about. I've been reading a book called A Wild Sheep Chase by Haruki Murakami, and I'm probably butchering his name, but the book is fabulous. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. The mentality that Murakami is able to create in the main character is wonderful, and I think for anyone that is a fan of this podcast, I think that it's a very relatable character at the same time. He just feels this numbness about the world around him. And although I'm only about 100 pages into this, I think 270-page book, I don't think he will ever come out and say depression or anxiety or anything to do with mental illness. Everything is so symbolic, but like wonderfully symbolic. If you allow yourself to kind of understand what he's saying, it can be just enthralling. Like, for example, there's an entire chapter, and fuck, dude, if I'm repeating myself and I've said this before, and I apologize, but it's just something that's so captivating to me, is he made an entire chapter on a whale penis. He remembered going to an aquarium as a kid, and he was having a hard time visualizing the scale, the just massive size that a whale has. And the only thing that his aquarium could hold was hanging from the ceiling, and it was a whale's penis. And at first I thought that was comical, and it definitely is. It definitely has some humor in it because of the humor that can be involved with sexuality and stuff like that. But the more that I think about it, the more I'm just in awe by the metaphor that he uses the whale penis to represent. And at least in my opinion, because there's obviously no right or wrong way to interpret something. But my interpretation was that he was using this whale penis as this symbol for sexuality and sex and romance as a whole. And so he was talking about this thing that he had such a hard time wrapping his mind around. And so he was just focused on the penis, but he couldn't see the whale itself, and he couldn't really understand the scale and the importance. So if you're really thinking about it in literal terms, then the penis of the whale is representative of the penis of a man also. And the way that he was seeing it was that the whale's penis was just... fuck, dude. I didn't know how many times I could say penis in a row. But the whale's penis is symbolic of the man's. And it's really just this surface level detail. And him being unable to see the whale and understand the mass and the scale that comes with it is... The way that I interpreted that was him having a hard time understanding the romance or the emotional component that's involved in sex. And it's a great chapter. I had so much fun reading it because it just felt comfortable. It felt sensible. Now, I know different people have different relationships with sex, and this episode isn't about sex, but it just should show that the main character in that book, he didn't even know really what he was trying to convey by talking about it. He was just captured by it, and it was a memory that was brought up. But that's one hell of a tangent. The reason that I wanted to talk about that in the first place was simply because the main character, he gives off this air of being so numb and dull to the world. He just exists. And I feel like that's a feeling that so many people can relate to, myself included, at different points in my life. And right now, I can relate to it. But he's numb, and he's just going with the motions. And for him, which I thought was unique, he was completely fine with that. He is content. He is happy with it because it just means that it's a life. It doesn't have to be a meaningful life. It doesn't have to be a fun life. It's just existing. And for him, that's like his ultimate goal, is to just simply exist. It's not to overachieve. It's not to do all these things. He owns his own company, but he doesn't seem to have that much passion or interest with it anymore. And he actually gets divorced, and he doesn't even seem to care. He seems to have more of a problem with the immediate change than he actually does the concept of losing this loved one that wasn't feeling cherished how she would have liked to. And that's how I feel right now. Now, I'm not saying that I'm in any danger of losing my relationship with Alex. I know that that's not true because she's one of the very happy very happy points of my day today. So, that's something I don't have to worry about. But the numbness is something that just can hit like a truck sometimes. And fortunately, I don't have to deal with that. Mine kind of comes more in cycles than his, which seems to be just this accepted complacency that he's kind of let take over his life and dominate the world around him. And but what I'm leading to here is the fact that there are these times where I can feel that way, and I know other people have felt that way also, where they feel like the world doesn't matter, that they're just rolling with the punches. It's just like this string of constant challenges that are really, really, really hard to overcome, and if not, at some points, totally impossible to overcome. Or at least they seem impossible, because as long as you keep persevering, you'll likely be able to power through whatever comes your way. But it just, sometimes life just seems like this constant barrage of shit, is a poetic way to put it. And sometimes you just need a break, man. Or woman. I don't know, man. This is a train wreck, but I talked about penises for like 5 minutes. Now I'm calling you man and dude. Why not? But sometimes the best thing you can do is just take a step back and try to relax. So I have all these goals that I want to accomplish with all of the things that I do, and I really have fun doing them. So that's why for me it's such a struggle to feel this sense of dull, numb complacencies, because I know that there are things out there that I absolutely love and I'm passionate about, and I strive so much, and every single day the reason I'm going to work is so that I can get money to support myself, so that I can continue doing what I'm really passionate about. And so it kills me that I know that about myself, and that I know there are things out there that I really love, and I can't feel that love for them right now. It's so stressful, and it's exhausting, and it's really demoralizing, because for so many years of my life, there have been times where I didn't know what I was passionate about, and I couldn't find these things that I thought were worth living for. I didn't know I liked the act of creating, and I didn't know that I could have a meaningful relationship with someone, and not just Alex, but with my family, with my friends. I always used to think that I was just ultimately going to run away and abandon my previous life. And in retrospect, now I think that if I had done that, I ultimately 100%, like I can say with certainty, I would have killed myself. Because running away is just delaying the inevitable. And I'm glad that I never hit that point, but it totally was a possibility for me, was just cutting off all ties and running. And then I was able to kind of step back from that, and I was able to find these things that I just fucking love. And now I just don't feel it. I don't feel this love for them. And it's not like the love has dwindled. It's just that right now I'm just so numb and bored and complacent and all these things that I'm terrified of, because once you find something that you like, it's so scary to feel like you're going to lose it. And I know that I'm not going to, but it's just this current mindset that I'm in. And so all these thoughts have led me to trying to combat it. I tried to read more of A Wild Sheep Chase. And truthfully, I read like 50 pages. And I don't know how much of it I remember. I was trying to focus, but my mind was just somewhere else. It seemed to not want to cooperate. And I enjoyed those 50 pages, but I definitely was not able to kind of extrapolate the same kind of insight that I was able to get about the chapter with the whale penis. I wasn't able to sit back and think about it on a really deep metaphorical level and think about what Murakami was really trying to convey. And I regret that. I regret having read it and knowing what was in it, but the only bright side to that is that I know that the book could also be taken incredibly literally, and I don't think you would really miss out on much, because if you have a hard time inferring things from the writer, you would still not be disappointed. It's still an interesting enough story. But it's just so weird to feel all these things whenever I know that I am passionate about them and I do love them. So instead of forcing myself to read, which I did do, and instead of forcing myself to write, which I did do, and instead of forcing myself to create a video, which I also did do, like I tried all these things to just try to get that spark back. I've decided that maybe the right course of action is to not necessarily push through it, because I know that this mindset will come, and I know that it's been here before, and I know that it will be here again, even though I will fight it tooth and nail. Which is a weird saying. I don't. Well, you know what? It's not that weird, because if you think about it, it's basically saying you're going to claw your way out of a situation. You'll do whatever it takes. You'll fight it, you'll bite them, you'll scratch them. Hey, you know what? I take that back. It's not that weird a saying. I've just never really thought about it. But, well, this is a mess. But these are the episodes that I like recording the most. These are the ones that I have fun with. But I know that these thoughts and this numbness will be back. It's just like this, I don't know. It's like I have vultures circling above me at all times. And these vultures are just waiting for this weakness. And I don't know what this weakness is going to be. Like, it could be, maybe I have a shitty day at work. Maybe there's some trigger. Maybe I'm having an argument with a loved one. Or maybe it's nothing at all. Maybe the world is just, or my brain's being an asshole or something. And these vultures just swoop in. And they see this weakness, and then they tackle me to the ground, and then they peck me until they feel like they're done. Until they feel like they're full enough to move on and continue flying again, and then I can crawl back up, wipe the dust off my clothing, and keep moving forward, but the vultures are still above me. So it's like they're just waiting to feed on me. So whenever I feel it, I think for now I'm just gonna ride the wave, and I'm going to be aware that it's not that I have these passions, because you need to know what's driving you forward. If you don't, it'll stop driving you forward. Even if that thing that's pushing you forward is your own motivation to move past it, to power through your mental illness, to have better relationships, to find more meaning in life. Whatever your purpose is, you just need to know what it is. And if you don't have one, you need to find one. Or else I think you're really going to struggle. And then you need to find it, but you can never let it go. And if your passions change, that's totally fine. You just need to hold on to that passion more than you need to hold on to this specific thing. Like, if in the future I just decide, well, fuck, I don't like creating videos, that's okay, as long as I'm filling that time with something that I deem meaningful, or something that I feel makes me happy. If I turn 45 and I'm like, well, it's kind of weird that I'm still making videos and I'm 45 and I don't think anybody's gonna watch a 45-year-old do dumb shit. Then if the meaningfulness and the audience disappears, then maybe the passion will kind of flutter and go to some new creative outlet, which if I'm 45 at that point, there's going to be so many new avenues for creative outlets. It's unbelievable. And maybe that's what'll happen. But as long as I keep finding what I like and keep pushing forward, then I think that's the only thing that really matters. But what I decided to do in these past few days are I took it easy. I really just relaxed. I did the things that I needed to do. I took care of laundry. I took care of the dishes. I took trash out. I did the things that if you don't do them, you'll die in your own filth. That's severe. But you'll get overpowered by like the amount of filth that's around you if you let it all stack up. So I was trying really hard not to do that, but I decided to sit back and watch more TV and watch more YouTube and play more video games, which I really don't. Whenever I'm in a motivated state, I really don't play video games like at all. because I am doing other things that I find more fulfilling. Like I have friends that I love playing video games with, and I love sitting down and playing video games with my brother, who I'm living with, or Alex, who's always fun to play games with. I cherish every moment that I can, but I also have these other things that I prefer to do. And this week, I just, without having those preferred things to do, I instead just focused on, well, what do I want to do to have fun? Whenever I'm not at work, what am I going to do? I can play games. I can relax and socialize. I can watch TV and not think about anything, not have to worry about the struggle that creating stuff can be. And I didn't have to worry about really anything. Like I cut myself, I work in a deli, and I cut myself on a slicer while I was there. And it was a pretty bad cut. I got my tetanus shot, and it's been healing quite nicely. So like it's taken care of and all, but instead of, and I also, whenever I was at the gym, I got I think I just tweaked my back or something, but I had some serious back pain. And so I haven't gone to the gym that much in the past week and a half. And although I miss it because I do like going to the gym, I felt like I should just stay back and relax. I didn't want to go use dumbbells or other machines because I didn't want to do anything to make my finger any worse, or I didn't want to do anything to hurt my back anymore. So I've just been laying back and thinking about it now. I realize that, I'm in one of these kind of depressed states. So maybe there's a chance that even the back pain's related to that, because chronic pain and depression are hand in hand also. But this is a temporary thing. I think I just tweaked my back, but it's just an interesting thought, a thing to think about, because I know that those things are related. So with all these things that I've been doing, I still don't really feel that much more motivated, but I feel more comfortable knowing that in this time that I don't feel super motivated, I feel comfortable doing the things that I don't do whenever I am super motivated. And it's basically just like this, I'm trying to use this as this other phase of my, I guess, monthly rotation. Like I have weeks that I go through where one week I really want to write, and then the next I really want to make a YouTube video, and then the next I really want to read. And then now I have another week that it's going to be in this rotation where it's going to be, I just need to sit back and relax and really take time for me. And what also can be very interesting is the fact that depression and complacency is for obvious reasons always viewed as this enemy and this thing that makes you struggle, and it makes your life worse, and it takes away from the enrichment that so many things can give you. It prevents you from, or it maybe not prevents you, because I don't want it to seem like it's this completely limiting thing, but it can definitely kind of slow down your ability to form meaningful relationships or restrict them without preventing them entirely. And it can do all these things, but right now I feel like it's kind of hitting me because it's my brain telling me that it just wants me to shut the fuck up and slow down and take some time for me, because I don't really know why. But it kind of feels like that's what it's doing, and maybe that's me putting a happy little smile on a otherwise really negative thing. But to me that doesn't matter, as long as you can find some sort of positivity in anything, then that's really what's important. So whatever works for you to make you happy is great. If it's, not listening to this podcast even, I don't care, just be happy. Like I don't want it to feel like a chore or anything. Like I just think that finding what makes you happy is really important, and believing in it too. So maybe it's weird to see depression as this thing that's kind of allowing me to take a break, because that's not what it should be. And really I still feel this numbness. So even no matter what I'm doing, I truly am not enjoying it as fully as I could be if my brain wasn't being a dick. And sometimes I'm just doing things to pass time, which is an unfortunate thing to experience, because for me, the act of just passing time or killing time brings up like existential dread, because of I'm always worried and paranoid about, the uncertainty. And first off, I say, too much, and I'm going to work on it. So thank you for your patience. But whatever. So I always have this existential dread that's like, you never know when you're going to die. With the size that we are as people, and with how many of us there are, with how many people are on the planet Earth, I'm just 1 in 7 billion plus. And when you just look at the sheer numbers, that to me that just brings this existential dread on me, because I'm terrified of thinking that I'm not special and that I'm not unique, and that if I wasn't around, the world could keep moving forward. But then, if I look at the size of the entire universe, I realize that even though I'm 1 in 7 billion, and I'm part of this gigantic living organism that's called humanity, even humanity doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things for the universe. I don't know how I got here. Oh, man. I'm so sorry. This episode's just been like random thoughts for me, but I guess that's kind of indicative of the mood that I'm feeling. I'm having a hard time maintaining focus. I'm really having a hard time feeling happy and staying optimistic right now. But I'm really trying to make the best of it, and I'm trying to see. I'm trying to. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep pushing forward. And I know how fucking hard that can be for so many people. I know it's hard for me. It sucks whenever I'm just existing, and I feel like these things that I really like doing and these passion projects and everything have just kind of abandoned me for a little bit. And the only bright side is I've been through this cycle before. I've been through this cycle at least once a month, every month for the last 10 years, 8 years, I don't know, but it's been a long time. And so living through it for that long, and knowing that there are other things out there that make me feel genuinely happy, those are the things that are really making me feel comfortable, move forward. But I also understand that 5 years ago, whenever I really didn't have this experience in dealing with my brain and mental health, that's absolutely when the thoughts of suicide were the strongest, and the thoughts of genuine action were the most prominent, because I didn't understand that maybe it was just this cycle, and I didn't understand that, before I found these things that made me happy, it wasn't a cycle. This was a constant feeling for me. It was just this numbness. And it still is a lot of the time. I mean, I always wonder, even whenever I'm feeling happy, or my version of happy, I'm wondering how that compares to other people's feelings of happiness. And sometimes I think that even whenever I'm feeling my version of happiness, what if that's really not happiness, but really just me reacting to the room and feeling and acting like I know I should, because that's how I've seen other people act. Basically, I mean, putting on a happy face is another way to put that, but I always wonder if that's just me as a person, and that's scary for me as an identity thing, because what kind of identity is just acting all the time? At least that's how I feel. Although it'd be cool to be an actor, but that's a bit unrelated. I hope I'm gonna wrap this episode up, because otherwise I'm just gonna tangent for the rest of my life. But I hope this episode wasn't just this existential, terrifying thing. I hope that this can give some perspective into how I'm feeling right now and these intimate thoughts that I'm having. Just because I really think that understanding where other people are coming from and knowing that other people are going through the same thing can really be important. And I will never expect this podcast to be all happiness and sparkles all the time. Actually, I expect it to be quite the contrary, and I expect it to be dark but helpful most times, because I don't think people are going to feel better or be able to move on from what they're going through without really understanding the truth, even if it's a morbid truth like suicidal thoughts and tendencies and stuff like that. So, thank you for listening. I don't know what's wrong with my voice. I feel like some days my voice sounds great, and then the next it just sounds like I got kicked in the throat by a donkey. So, I want to reiterate something. I want to have guests on here soon. I've been dealing with a lot of nervousness and more existential dread recently in terms of actually talking to someone on here because of some of the imperfections and insecurities that I had with the previous guests that I've had and me overthinking that. But I hope to overcome that soon. I'm going to reach out to someone that I hope will be on in the coming weeks. I'm excited to have guests on, even if I'm terrified. And then I think after I'm recording this a little over a week after I recorded the last one, I think 8-9 days maybe. And I that's basically, that time has just been dedicated to me thinking about what I want to do, if I want to do like local public appearances about mental health or like college campuses or something. And I think I'm going to do it. Super nervous because then there's like potentially an actual audience. When here I can pretend that there's not going to be one because it's just me talking into a microphone, and I could hide behind all of these this facade of basically just talking to myself. And I'm excited to do that. I'm really excited to connect with people on a more personal and intimate level and talk to people about things that actually matter, as opposed to some other speakers that may not really dive into, as I referred to earlier, as the nitty-gritty. So, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy what I do. I hope you're feeling better than I have the past week, because even committing to this was a little bit hard for me. So, thank you again. You're the best. And I love you guys. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.